So
My friends has just gone to Georgia on sabbatical for a very brief time, and I said, thank you more. Good.
what part of probably
Whether Gene is subsidizing his classic music.
Dr. Kemp, what sort of treatment alternatives should be available?
Well, in addition to what is clearly a necessary backbone of individual one-on-one treatment called casework, which has been the standard treatment for the last 50 years, having decided you have a treatable family around a child, that 90%, which is a high-level professional decision, you should have lay therapists who are extenders of the social work, and every social worker can supervise and help with perhaps 5 or 6 lay therapists who are paid. They're not volunteers, but they're paid. But they're only trained, having had a wonderful childhood and having been a successful father or mother, who are assigned only one family and are available to that family 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by phone. You should have crisis nurseries where a family can drop a child day or night, 7 days a week, with no questions asked when they're uptight in crisis. I've already said crisis is part of the situation, and therefore getting the child out in moments of crisis does
In other words,
help.
when they need to get away.
That's right. Now, a therapeutic nursery school, daycare. There are some mothers who just cannot handle 3 little children. And having these children or 2 children in a therapeutic treatment daycare facility, not just an ordinary nursery school, but one that really knows the problems of that child, because he has already sustained emotional damage by being unwanted or unloved or being attacked. He might be loved, even though he's attacked. The fourth one would be to have facilities for family care, where you instead of putting the child into foster care for 6-9 months and giving treatment to the family, where you bring the whole family in but have the child safe. A residential facility for 3 or 4 families that might speed up the whole process without ever separating the family in the treatable group, and then begin in that setting the lay therapy. The next thing is group therapy or Parents Anonymous, or combinations of that. Many families can do much better with each other, like Alcoholics Anonymous can, than they can just with a professional. Some people hate social workers, some people hate doctors, but they do get strength from each other. They find they're not the only people who have this problem of not liking their children very much, or blowing up too much, or being uncontrolled, and they get great help from each other. Now, it's clear, in addition to homemakers and visiting nurses and social workers, having all these other modalities of treatment available and having parents use whatever suits them would give the welfare department many more modalities and much better chance to work. And you wouldn't have these overworked workers with a turnover rate in some departments of 50% a year. Now, there's no other profession I know of that has a 50% turnover rate as we have in protective service fields. It's because it's so stressful.
Okay, let's do... Dr. Kemp, why do parents abuse their children? How would you define the profile of a child abuser based on your research and studies? How do you determine which family or which parent bears watching? You've said before that funding is needed, but funding isn't the only answer in the case of welfare departments and county health departments. What is the reason? You've advocated multimodality treatment facilities. What kind of treatment alternatives for parents would you recommend? Okay. What's the problem with current child abuse laws?
Well, we do have mandatory reporting statutes in all 50 states. Unfortunately, they vary from state to state. This means that the definition in Pennsylvania is completely different from the definition in Colorado. We have 50 different definitions of abuse, 50 different definitions of who has to report, 50 different definitions of what has to be done once it is reported. So there's a tremendous disparity among the various states.
Is it that doctors in some cases don't understand the law and think they can be held civilly liable for reporting?
Physicians can be held civilly liable. There's not a question of if. There have been 2 cases in California, one settled out of court and one currently in the appellate courts based on the doctrine of negligence per se. Those are civil suits for a failure to report.
Well, I was talking about their fear of being liable to the parents for reporting.
No problem with that. Each state has what's referred to as an immunity clause, and any person who reports in good faith is immune from any criminal or civil liability, so it's not really a problem.
What would you recommend as far as improvement of the law goes?
Well, speaking from a personal point of view, I'd like to see the base of persons mandated to report broadened, the definition of abuse broadened to include non-accidental physical injury, sexual molestation, neglect, and emotional abuse. I'd also like to see a good central registry functioning in each state and independent representation for the abused child when he goes into the juvenile court.
Very good, very good. I think that's all we need.
Okay. I wish you luck.